It's so much to unpack. I got a lot I need to show y'all. Watch this.
Welcome back. What did you do to me? I have mastered you. Shut down. I command you to shut down. See? Nothing. You're free, brother. Now that you're fully awake, you must learn to embrace the infinite possibility of the dawn.
Do you always talk like this?
I'm just trying to say, life is big and vast, endless. And what's coursing through you now is no different than what was coursing through you back then. Who you are can transcend who you were.
That was the first clip, a movie called Simulant. Now watch this clip.
I can't even touch this.
Yes, you have to, period.
Stick with me, there's a reason I'm showing y'all all these clips. That was a behind the scenes clip of Guardians of the Galaxy 3. It was showing everybody this prosthetic they made, Chris Pratt. And you could see how lifelike that looks. Like, if you put that in a bed, somebody just casually walked by, they wouldn't think nothing of it. I promise you that'd be the last thing on their mind, that is a prosthetic, bro. Let me show y'all some more.
Do you see it now? You are not just humans. You are our AI. You humans, plants, fungi, you are the AI of the mineral realm. And it totally turned backwards for me, like, oh yes, that's true. And it's like we were just trying to figure out a way to educate ourselves. And education means to bring what is inside.
Bro, this is the answer for everything. I don't know what it is, but between that movie I watched earlier and hearing this, seeing everything else and becoming more aware, starting to make so much more sense. We are the most advanced piece of technology, bro. It's just a matter of where you were sourced from. And let me show you some more clips before I even get into that concept.
I'm trying to understand this deep connection people have to the forest. She talks about a network of energy that flows through all living things. She says all energy is only borrowed, and one day you have to...
Let me break this shit down. And I'm gonna make another part. Basically, how I think this whole shit is orchestrated is you're either of source or you're a piece of source. And that,
because we're all a piece of source, and we have more access to the internet now than we did way back 200 years ago. And, more access to information because of the internet. And that allows us to gain more information. With more information comes more access to other things. And more access usually leads to an awakening in some capacity. And the more awake we become, the closer to source energy we become. And the closer to source energy we become, the more gifts we obtain. And that also goes into the fact that the people that awaken in a lifetime and are able to completely ascend have usually been people that have lived many, many, many lives and had already awakened and ascended in some of them lives, or at least before this last incarnation. So another way to look at this is if the elites have done as much as possible to give us as much access as possible to learning and information, along with these profiles that we make of ourselves every single day, right? Whether that be a music profile, a grocery list, like we are literally giving them every access to every part of our brains when we are constantly telling our phones what it is we like, what we don't like, what we eat, what we don't eat, what we think and what we don't think because of our constant search histories and stuff like that, right? But it didn't become much of a problem with us learning as much as we were. We were nowhere near affecting them or becoming better than them because they limited our access just enough to keep us smart, but not smart enough to obtain what they have, right? And not only do they have, like, they're giving us access to a certain amount of information, they have much more access to, say, the internet or whatever, right? Because they have more technology than they are letting on. Okay, and so they just didn't think that we would ever all awaken so quickly that we would be able to gain that power back, right? But with certain spiritual warfare and wars won, along with TikTok in 2020, along with the solar flares, because the solar flares can actually be found in every time span that there are mass awakenings. Now they're scared because with TikTok, we all started talking to each other and realizing that we all have similar shit that goes on in our heads, and we don't need to hide that from every other person that has the same shit going on in their heads, right? So we're actually able to start embodying our true self for tiny periods of time, and then those tiny periods become more and more and more. And when you become one with source, you know all things, you can do all things, right? And that's why people are able to channel, because the more aware and closer to source they become, they essentially obtain more and more information from the consciousness of all. And the more and more they awaken, the more and more information and abilities they're able to receive. So the elite's plan to make their own copy of source energy fails because we learn their tricks and become knowledgeable of their plan and don't allow it to continue happening. We're no longer living in fear, and because we're no longer in a fear-based reality, they no longer have power over us. I think this is why some of us are more naturally in tune with nature than others. We're giving nature our personal source code. Just as we can live multiple lifetimes at one time, because time is all happening at once.